Hi, I'm an underwater photographer, Eiko Jones from Campbell River. These are my top 5 DSLR underwater photography tips. My number 5 tip would be buoyancy control. Having good buoyancy control at all times obviously is helpful on any dive, but for taking photographs it's key to positioning, to not damaging the reef. You don't want to be kicking over things, knocking wildlife, sponges and corals and the fragile life that you're photographing. You want to be aware of where your fins are and basically positioning on the reef at all times. My number 4 tip would be to look for interesting contrasts and colors. Underwater the lighting can be dim, so if you can look for a nice vibrant color subject against a contrasting background, say for example a purple starfish with some yellow sponges, when you illuminate that with your strobes it just looks a lot more interesting in a photograph rather than a brown on brown subject or something like that. So basically anytime you can look for contrast with lighting, color, that makes for a fantastic photograph. My number 3 tip, especially for wide angle, would be shooting up at all times. Shooting horizontally or down into the water can look fairly dark. By shooting up, you're taking advantage of the natural light coming in through the surface of the water. You're having your subject stand out from the background more, and it just generally makes for a better composition. Looking down on top of things is not it just doesn't create the punchy images that you're looking for when you're shooting underwater. My number 2 tip would be to get very close and then get closer still. Underwater light gets absorbed way faster than the air, so by getting close, the lens is closer to your subject so you have less absorption and your strobe intensity can be much better on the subject. But if you sit back too far, your light gets absorbed and the particles in the water can hinder the photograph. So especially with wide angle, getting as close to the subject as possible just makes the clarity and the colors just punch that much more. The trick is moving in very slowly and then letting the subject, especially if it's a fish, just letting it get used to you and moving, coming to you. If you chase fish, they tend to turn around and swim away from you and then you don't have a good picture. If you sit still and let them come to you, invariably they will, and that makes for a better picture. My number 1 tip for shooting wide angle would be to use as wide a lens as possible, and if it's a zoom lens, use it at the widest setting. That way you can get as close to your subject, including a lot of background, and your depth of field remains sharp from something 2 inches away to the background image. You can take advantage of all the lighting and everything by using as extreme wide angle lens as possible, which generally is a fisheye lens.